Meow, welcome to the podcast, man. How we doing? You came all the way out here from, well, you're based in Singapore, but you've been all over. Where did you fly here from?
San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't too far.
It wasn't that bad. Yeah. But I came in from Colombo, Malaysia.
Okay.
So Malaysia to San Francisco and now to LA.
Well, there we go. Well, welcome to LA. Welcome to the podcast. We've been looking forward to having you on. And because, I got to say, first off, thank you for the big ass bag of Jupiter.
You're welcome. And by the way, thanks for having me. I think since like pre-Jupe, right? I've always been noticing you around, right? And it's just really, really great to kind of have you been part of the community and then having you around. And you're just such a great like energy, not just for Jupiter, right? But the whole like ecosystem, whole crypto and everything. So it's just great to have you around.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And
I love a banger photos, man. You with like a ton of hot chicks and like, hey, I bought so I ate. I'm like, wow, that's motivation, bro. To buy crypto.
Listen, you could flex twice as hard and just show me how much Jupiter you have. I'm sure you got I don't even want to know how much you got. But
all locked up, bro.
Hey,
all
this
in,
is
man.
my own token.
Yeah.
No. All locked up, bro. All locked up, man. Not a single one sold, not for a long ass time.
There we go.
So we're just thinking of community it first, right? CEF, right? Community it first, right? And it's the general philosophy behind like the whole way we approach the whole thing. It's like, okay, obviously you want to secure enough for the funds, right? For operations and talent recruitment, everything, right? But ultimately, I think one of the really big ideas that ground us, I think one of the reasons why I think we kind of have this on the trust the community, right? Is that we really want to work really hard to have the kind of culture where the community can trust us. You know what I'm saying, right? And we trust the community, right? And what does that mean, right? It means that the community knows that, okay, if the community, for example, right, I think I'm proposing to have 2 more Jupiter Reach, right? And since I'm proposing it, right, I'm gonna hang to the end of it, right? Before to really make sure that my own interests are fully aligned to the community's interests, right? And similarly, right, I trust the community, right? So it's like, okay, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? It's a vote, right? Right? You guys tell me if you guys want to do this, So I feel like that kind of like a synergistic and like mutually trust model is like really important to how we think about stuff. Yeah,
100%.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think, to your point, right? Like aligning incentives, I think has always been like one of the core ethos of crypto overall, right? Like it's
precisely
like users that are getting rewarded for using said platforms. And at the same time, you're getting users and getting like actual active and participating users, not necessarily just people that are passive or anything like that, and actually want to see you succeed. And that's where that alignment comes from.
Yeah, what's funny though? Let me tell you what's funny. I think okay, so this is controversial, okay? But I think that the reason why we see so many projects failing, right, in recent times, right, is because they take the whole incentive thing too literally. Right? They're like, okay, if and because in crypto, right, I in my opinion, okay, could be completely wrong, right? But I think I think goodwill is dramatically underrated. Mm-hmm. Dramatically fucking underrated. Yeah. Okay. And what do I mean by goodwill, right? I mean goodwill in the sense that, for example, I think we like during the bear market, right? Solana $8, right? We didn't leave, right? Mm-hmm. I'm saying we didn't jump around, right? I'm saying we show our integrity to the not just to Solana but to the process, right? To the process. Okay, instead of like hopping to wherever the money was, right? We bucket down and we stayed true to a certain ethos, of building and of commitment, right? I think that demonstrated goodwill, right? And also obviously the fact that we worked hard on the product without necessarily charging any fees and stuff for a long time, that was goodwill too, And then the fact that we never talked about the airdrop at all, right? For like 3 years, right? And then in fact, when we did talk about airdrop, we cut it off, right? Yeah. So anyone who actually heard about Jupiter after the airdrop didn't get anything, right? Yeah. I'm saying it's only the one before airdrop, right? So I think all these things is good. So I think from there, all my users, there was goodwill, right? I'm saying. So I think I feel like the whole thing about like it's by the way, it's the first time I'm talking about this, by the way. So sorry if I come across as being a bit awkward. right?
They're good.
But I really, really feel like in crypto today, right? I think we focus so much on incentives and like money and also like trying to and tokenomics, right? That we forget that okay, those projects that do really well, right, are those that contribute the most, to the ecosystem, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and stuff, right? All the projects or Uniswap, whatever. I think all of them contributed some like fundamental value, right? Either in technology or in ethos or in community. You know what I'm saying, right? So I feel like that is actually underrated. I think.
Yeah,
100%.
No.
I think one of the things that we can all say. I mean, we've been in the Solana ecosystem now for 3 years, and it's Jupiter is one of those products that like I wasn't telling people about it because of an expected airdrop or anything like that. I was telling people about it because it was a great user experience, and it was something that like when you talk about the products that you use on a daily basis, it's like I use Phantom on a daily basis, I use Jupiter on a daily basis, I use cube.exchange. We're looking forward to when they had the California license, but like there's certain products that like you use on a regular basis, and it makes it easy for you to then tell somebody else about it. And I think that's what makes Jupiter so great is, again, it's not the I'm farming this, I'm looking just for an airdrop or whatever. It's like the UI experience is beautiful. It allows you to do all the different things that you want to do, whether it's you're doing perps, whether it's you're DCing into something, whether it's just, swapping things. Like there's so many different purposes as to why you would use Jupiter. And I think that makes it easy for, again, like the consumer to go, hey, this is just a great product. And then you tell other people about it.
Correct, precisely, right? So here's another thing that I have never quite thought about before, right? But I'll share with you guys, right? In many ways, right? So I think most projects, right? They start off, right, and they really need users, right? Make sense? So they use the token, right, as marketing for the product. They go, okay, we're gonna have a token. This is the point system. You're gonna get airdrop if you use it, right? So they basically the community. They're trying to get a community to market the product, right? So for us, we do it the other way around, right? Right? Like it's almost like the product is the marketing for the community, right? The product is our, and it's not perfect, right? There's bugs, there's issues, something doesn't work that well, everything, right? But I think the product is a representation of our ethos. It's kind of like how we see the world, how we want to add value and stuff, and so it's more like okay. So it's for us, it's more like okay, we built a good product, as marketing, for the community, and I think that is almost an underrated way to see the world, right? But I think that's how I see it, Yeah. So I think in some sense they come in here, they use a product, and then ideally they become part of the community, right? And then we did actually spend, like I just said, I spent 3 years just building up the product and the user base, and from there it was and from there, I think going from product to community was relatively easy for us, right? Because I think there was this implicit trust, among the users that okay, these guys are legit, right? And then obviously I think we spent a lot of time and effort on the airdrop as well to kind of make sure that okay, we really care about getting the process right. And then and there were the number of things that we could have done better, obviously, but I think overall, I think similarly, right? I think the way we went about the airdrop was sufficient, to kind of convince people. Okay, these guys are legit. They really care about the product, they care about community, right? And I think it's comms, right? I think most people think of comms as marketing, right? We actually the thing about us is that we never think of it that way. We think about comms as a way to as communication. I'm not even joking, right? It sounds stupid, but I think at least, right? There's something very magical about just like you don't think about comms as like engagement farming, how many views you get, right?
Yeah.
No, seriously, I'm saying, right? I feel like how about just fucking communicate?
Like, I mean,
just talk, bitch,
Yeah, you guys have a whole ecosystem, and I feel like there's a lot going on in the ecosystem. To your point with the communications, it's like actually for someone to understand, hey, what's going on with the voting, what's going on with the rewards, when's the airdrop coming out, what's the claim link, how's this all going to work? And I mean, I've said this before too. I think you guys had one of the, like, from a perspective of like how it felt, I think it was one of the greatest airdrops that has come on Solana, because people didn't know that it was coming when they were using the product, right? Like, people have just been swapping tokens on Jupiter for the past years because it's like, it just makes sense to, right? Like it's an easy software to use, and like people are, we went through that whole like meta almost with all these NFT projects having tokens, and people that were in those NFT projects were swapping certain tokens into others, and all doing that through Jupe. And just from them doing that, they got rewarded over when the airdrop was finally announced. But it wasn't something that people were using the product because they knew that they were going to get X amount of Jupe. It was kind of more like a surprise and delight type of thing, I think, when you
it's a multiple step thing, right? It's like first of all, they get introduced to the product, right?
Yeah.
And then they actually one thing is underrated, right? Is that we had so many fucking problems right, over the last 3 years. I mean, like, it's actually really complicated because like when you work with one DEX, it's one problem, right? You're a 10 DEX, it's not 10 problems, it's 100 problems, because they compound each other, right? Right, everything. I think we actually work really hard to resolve all these problems, right? It's like I mean, I'm actually really proud of the team because like we just had this like really strong commitment to the user to like do things well, So I feel like it was this like gradual but certain like trust building process. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's like, okay, if you can trust the team to fix the problems and own up to shit when it happens and stuff, right? You can also trust them on the token. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like 99% of Jupiter, right, is about like that slow but incremental build up of trust, of goodwill, right, of communications, right, right. I feel like okay, another thing I haven't talked about before, right, but I'll talk more over here, right. Is that okay, imagine you're dating someone, right now. And your comms comprise mostly of, hey, look at how great I am. I'm so awesome. Blah blah blah. I mean, okay, maybe get late once, right? But then that's not a relationship, right? I'm saying is that it will be extremely transactional, right? So I feel like, okay, if you actually want a relationship, right, you gotta communicate, right? You gotta communicate, be vulnerable, tell what you're thinking. Right, I'm saying, right, be honest with your feelings, even be poly, right? And you be open, right? Whatever, right? Whatever your thing is, right? And just tell them what it is properly, right? So I feel like that's actually how I see communications. I'm saying it's I feel like most crypto projects I see tend to have a certain agenda. I'm saying, right? I feel like that is like again, it's great if you're gonna get lit, right? I'm saying, or whatever. But then if your goal is to build a long-term project, then you're much better off like trying to communicate, right, in a truthful way, right, in a vulnerable way, like how you actually might communicate with someone, even in a relationship, How I think about it.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you guys have done that from the day that you guys put out the token, and even before that, when you were talking about kind of like the tokenomics of it and everything like that, you guys were super, super transparent about what you were thinking. Then it was announced very quickly the active staking rewards and kind of how that whole process was going to go, and that there were going to be these votes and things like that, and that everything was incredibly, incredibly transparent. So when you talk about communication, that's something that I look at, because we actually had a conversation last week. We were talking about utility tokens, and we were saying one of the biggest issues with a lot of utility tokens is you really have no idea why you're holding them, right? Like, you don't, for the most part, you don't give a shit about the votes that they have. If they do have them, you don't know if there's going to be some reward for you holding those and whatever. And so it almost feels like a lot of times I'm holding this for no real reason. But with you guys, from day one, it's like you guys put out the votes, and I've learned a ton about different people who are building really, really cool things. I mean, even like Sanctum, which I know we have coming up with the cloud drop, like I learned about them basically through you guys, right? Yep. And then as a result, it was like almost because I trust you guys, I then trusted Sanctum when it comes to liquid staking and things like that. So I was like, okay, I feel really comfortable putting a ton of money into Jupe Soul and everything like that, and some of the other various tokens, because it was like you guys are trusted, and then therefore you guys then trusting Sanctum tells me, okay, this is a product that's been built right, something that you guys are going to vet out and things like that. Then I go into the vote, you guys have all of that. I've learned about so many other products, whether it's like D-Bridge or some of these other people that are building Zeus and that are building really, really cool things. And so to me, it was like super aligned incentives in terms of you guys were super communicative about what you guys were building, what the rewards were for, why people are voting, and then teaching us about these new products, what's being built. And then as a result, you get the first, round of rewards, and it's been great. So, I mean, again, great communication.
So it's actually really interesting, right? It's actually really interesting because you notice two things, right? It's like you notice that for the airdrop thing, I don't talk about rewards at all, right? None, zero, zilch, right? Like literally, I did that, like from day one, people started asking for tokens, right? I'm like, then one of my team members, he said, there might be an airdrop. I'm like, I blew my top off. I'm like, no fucking token talk, nothing, zero, zilch, no airdrop, nothing, right? And then because I really, really, really wanted, right, to kind of like, I really wanted not just the user, but the team as well, right, to have discipline. Okay, we are not going to use tokens as a way to talk about using. None. Over, right? No such thing. But the ASR was completely different, right? I was very explicit about it, right? I literally call it active staking reward, right? And it was a new thing, right? There's no such thing before, right? There's staking and there's rewards and stuff, but there's no such thing as active staking rewards, right? So, and also the other thing about active staking rewards, we didn't promote the APY, right? We didn't go, hey, check it out, APY, blah blah blah. No, we didn't do any of that shit, right? So I feel like so in some sense, for both the airdrop and ASR, right, we designed the communications in a way, right, that that a lot of people, they use it in a very genuine way. You know what I'm saying? Like anyone who participated in the vote, obviously you're getting something, right? But it wasn't an API in mind. No one, I didn't have a sense of what API was, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? There was no such thing as 80% or 20%, whatever, right? It was like okay, I'm in it because I don't mind I want the whole group, right? I want to participate, right? So the intention becomes very different, As a result, I think it went off well, Whereas think about it, right? If I had gone like, hey, 90% APY, then the whole thing is very different, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. So I hate to use the whole dating analogy again, but it's actually very similar as well. I think there's a certain art to it. There's a certain nuance to it, right? That you don't actually capture. If all you're talking about is like, if you meet some of a girl for the first time, you go, hey, I make like 5 million a year. It just kills the feeling, right? So I feel like there's a lot of nuance there about how you communicate, how you do things, how you set expectations and everything, right? That I think is very important. Yeah. So I think for ASR, back to the point, right? I think for ASR, I'm really happy how it turned out. I think we have the most active DAO in crypto. That's pretty cool, right, guys?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right?
No, definitely do.
It's pretty cool, right? I think we're the most. Also, I think not just that, right? Think about it, right? Like even like some of the work group votes and stuff. We sound happy and everything, right? But dude, some of the votes are contentious, man.
Oh yeah, super contentious.
Holy shit! It's like the CWG one that became nasty at some point. The Reddit work group thing, right? Nasty at some point. Right, but we learn together, right? I think so. What the way I think about stuff is very simple, right? I basically think there's no free lunch, right? I feel like a lot of like communities, they try to do a DAO or anything, right? They think it's a free lunch, right? Oh, I'm just gonna call it DAO and call it a day. No, man. It's rough, bro. Have you ever tried running a team of 5 people? It's rough. Now try running a team of 30,000 people.
Yeah. That's why most DAOs are just group chats. And
precisely, right?
They're not having a whole voting system and like rewards and people actually in it like that. So
and also like the thing about DAOs are like, they do this fake DAO thing, right? They go, oh yeah, I have a DAO and this DAO has 90% of the supply and it's just fucking hot fire trash shit, bro. No, seriously. Okay, here you go. Right now. Would you give like $1 million to a baby?
No.
You wouldn't.
No.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And then if you do give $1 million of your token to a baby, do you actually care about your token?
No.
You don't. Right? You don't. Right? So I feel like so that and we do the same thing as well, right? So we kind of do, okay, fine, here you go. Right? So we kind of get we make sure DAO had enough like capital. Right? You know what I'm saying? But we really wanted to kind of have to me what's actually really important, right? Was that I really wanted to see debate, But here's the thing: I feel like people will I feel like people are scared of conflict, right? When they see all the exploding, because dude, every time there's any like vote coming out on Jupiter, right? The work group stuff, the CWG stuff, man, Reddit, like Twitter explodes, right? Discord explodes, right? And people think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it's great. I think it's great. You gotta
have the discourse. You have to have the discourse, right?
You must have it.
Like, otherwise you don't really build and get better. And even to your point, like with the votes and like actually like participating, like you don't get to get better if you're not having a discourse with people of like, hey, this is why I think about this is why I think about this, and doing it in a respectful manner, right? Where it's like conflict doesn't have to be disrespectful. I think certain people just take conflict and like try and make it disrespectful when they feel like they can't get a point off or for whatever reason, right? But it's like conflict itself doesn't have to be disrespectful, and the discourse itself is super important
Okay,
for you to grow.
So guys, another funny thing is this, right? It's like it's actually really funny, right? But here's the thing. Okay, would you read an entire like 10-page document on stuff? You wouldn't. You know, no one does, right? I don't. Right? You know, what would you read? Right? You read gossip. Right? You read short form tweets, right? You go like you read comments, right? You know what I'm saying? You read someone. So I have found that that's how, like, for better or for worse, for humans, we're not ChatGPT, right? I think so. Here's the other thing that I think I don't talk about a lot, but I'll talk about it here, right? Is that we gotta recognize humans are humans, bro. You know, we're not ChatGPT, bro. ChatGPT can digest a 20-page white paper, right? The most fucking boring white paper and digest it for you. But we are not ChatGPT, right? And I'm saying, no, we're humans, right? What does it mean? It means that we're simulated by gossip. Right, and I'm saying, right? I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, have you seen like Reddit TV? That stuff is great.
Oh yeah,
the stuff. When LA now, right? Reddit TV is fucking great.
It's entertaining seeing people go back and forth on the timeline too. When it's like for something that's like this, like a protocol or technology or whatever. Like Mert does that all the time. Like it's always fun seeing Mert just like go off on somebody, but he's doing it in a way where it's like, hey, I have all these facts or I have all this like information to back up what it is I'm saying.
Or conversely, right? What you see is very simple, right? Some people saying this is not true, but I've learned that it doesn't matter. So it's crazy because what I've learned is that it doesn't matter because okay, this is another controversial viewpoint I have, right? Is that misinformation is good.
Really?
Yes, it is good.
In what sense?
It is like misinformation. Misinformation is a forcing function, right? It triggers people, right? And then it really it's up to the communicator, right? It's almost like, how to put it, in a sense that like you can't help it. You know, it's there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish it does. I wish it's not there, right? I'm saying, but it's actually very, very, very good. But then if you view it from a more of a training point of view, right? Misinformation to like push-ups, right? You know, like do you get stronger if push? Okay, for example, have you guys tried doing push-ups in a zero gravity environment?
No.
How fun? How challenging is that?
It sounds like it'd be very difficult.
No, I mean, you push-ups, you wouldn't do, there'll be nothing.
Yeah,
you won't feel anything, right? You know, so it's like,
zero gravity. Yeah, you would.
You would feel nothing. So
yeah. Well, it took me a second to think about. I don't often think about zero gravity environments. Okay,
but it's very similar, right? So it's basically like misinformation is like it's critical because it forces you, right? Me at least, right, as a communicator, to think really fucking hard, you know, about how to comms. You know, right? I'm not even kidding, right? It's like to me, like, oh my god, I'm telling you, man. It's like after in the last 4 months of you know, I think misinformation to me is like gravity to push-ups, right? You know, right? It's like yes, it's tough. It makes things hard, much harder than it is, right? But it does train you, you know, right? So it's like I think nowadays, if you see if you compare the information I put out like previously, like pre-Jupe launch, and the information I put out now. Right, it's actually a lot more. It's a lot sharper.
Yeah,
you know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, because I'm very, very aware of the fat points, right? You know, so I learned how to if this is a
it's almost like you know now what people are gonna point to and be like, wait a minute, I should probably like re-say this because they'll probably FUD this or they're gonna take it this some sort of way. Like you can kind of pick up now what people are gonna perceive as you're communicating
and also but it's not perfect, right? So whatever, and also sometimes you have to do it faster, right? You know, but if it happens out, okay, cool, all right. Certain things you have to react immediately, right? You know, and certain things just be like, you know, right? It's just people talking, right? Take it easy, right? I think you start training, right? It's like you start learning what is what, right? That's really important in my opinion because if you start how do I put it? Let me think. So one of my controversial communication tactics, right? It's very simple. Because there was a period of time where I got flooded, and there was some like there's some people who are like much smaller audiences, and then they were spreading misinformation, and I will quote tweet it. Right, you know, and people will be like, I'll quote it like directly saying no, that's not true, right? I think, and a lot of people will scold me. They're like, why are you feeding it, right? I think, and no, looking back, actually, I think it's the right thing to do. Because when you let misinformation go without actually addressing it, right, you show that you are afraid of it. And I think also think about it, right? It's like if you are able to take the information and broadcast to your followers, right, to say, hey, this is what they said, this is what happened. That gives you more credibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, in other words, I think you can really turn. Don't get me wrong. Again, it'd be great if there's no misinformation, right? Then again, guys, remember, we're humans, right? We are not beasts and bytes, right? Reality is subjective.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Right? So in any just around the whole thing. I know we're getting a bit long on the topic, but I think misinformation, number one, it can train you really hard. It can train you really well, right? And then secondly, it can actually be used as a really important way for people to understand things because it sparks thinking. Right, and thirdly, it gives you a chance to contrast, what your version and their version, and let the audience judge for themselves what is the right version.
100%. And I think the other thing it does too is that when you address misinformation, you also arm your kind of like community with the ammunition they need to defend you in the future, right? Because I think a big part of communication is
precisely.
If I'm a big part of a community and I don't know how to defend from FUD that's out there, well, then that FUD gets stronger and stronger and stronger. But if you've quote tweeted it and said, hey, this is the reality of this situation, and you address their FUD points, and now I know as a community member, oh, okay, hey, Meow already addressed that. Here's what he said. Now I know what I need to say if somebody else brings up that future point and maybe they didn't get to see your quote tweet, but I saw it. And so now I'm educated to go, talk about that in the future.
For sure.
Here's what I want to do, because I want to take this kind of back, because I've listened to a few interviews that you've done and everything. And I'm like, I gotta hear more of like the Meow story. So give me like, when did you get into crypto? What were you doing before all of this? Where did the idea for Jupiter come from? Get into all that. Where did the name Meow come from? Give us a little back history on the man, the myth, the legend, Meow.
Oh, that's so funny. Really? Oh
yeah.
My God.
Oh, yeah.
Meow.
Meow. We're going to do a meow. 1, 2, 3.
Meow.
Okay, first of all, wow, how do I begin?
Let's start with name. Where did the name come from?
Oh, man, I got to cue you now.
What?
Yeah, you now. I normally only tell you over dinner, but I love you, Marc. So, okay, all good. So actually, dude, there's so many like origination points to how I got the name Meow, right? That's just one of the most basic thing, right? My name, my given name is Meow. Meow. Mm-hmm. Say faster.
It sounds just like Meow. Okay.
And I talk really fast, right?
Yeah.
So Meow, Meow, Meow. Right, so I was in elementary school, and then my teacher asked me what's my name. I was like, Meow. And then she was like, what Meow the fuck? And then I'm like, oh, that's pretty cute. Yeah, so that was actually my first actually matched up, because actually if you take my name and you shorten it together, it's actually MEOW. Right? It actually matches up, right? Which is why I tell people it's a real name. No one actually believes it. Right? But if you just cut some characters, it's actually MEOW. That's it. Right, so it's actually my name, right? So in some sense I get very, and all my friends call me Meow, right? So I get very annoyed when people say it's a pseudonym. I'm like, dude, what is the name Marc, right? And you know how a lot of Asian people, they come to America, they give themselves a Christian name, right? Like John or like Steve or like I don't know, Valentino, whatever shit, right? Like I'm like, dude, if Valentino is your name, why can't my name be Steve or Meow? Right, you know what I'm saying? Right. Okay. Anyway, long story short, I think that's like one thing, right? I think, dude, it's a long story. I told you, you're gonna regret this. The podcast gonna be finished.
We'll go for as long as we need to.
Yeah, and then later on, right? And later on, I came to, and after and during college, I came to America, right? So I was in America for like I think about 1.5 years, 2 years, right? Well, as part of my college, right? And then my name is Meow. It's a bit long, right? So guess and then everyone was giving themselves a Christian name, right? So guess what I called myself?
Meow.
No, Steve. I was like, okay, so I was Steve for like a year or something, right? Whatever, right? Then I was like,
Steve.
Yeah, fuck, so fucking bad, right? Then one fucking day, I looked at myself in the fucking mirror. I'm like, dude, look at your fucking self, man. Look at your fucking face. Are you a Steve? No, you're not fucking Steve, bro. Fuck
Man
you.
in the
Saying,
mirror,
right?
for real.
I was like, fuck, I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. I can't do a Steve thing, right? Whatever, right? And then, and I went to, and after a while, after some identity crisis, I went to Ming, MING, right? And then I was like, fuck. Then there are too many Mings. There's like fucking, there's Min and Ming, and I dated two girls called Min, and there's a Min in Vietnamese called MH, right? There's a Min in Japanese. There's a fucking Ming in every fucking culture, right? And the fucking is fucking too common, bro. You know what I'm saying, right? It's fucking annoying, right? Someone like, too much, too common, right? You know? And then, but I wavered between, I wavered between the whole, like, and at some point I think, I was like, hey, Meow is really cute, you know, the name is really cute. You know what I'm saying, you know? So I was like, okay, so I wavered between the whole, like, Ming and Meow thing, right? For like, I think like, 5 years or something, 5 years. And then, I think at some point, last year, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going all in, you know?
Back to your roots.
Yeah, back to my fucking roots, man. Meow all the way. And then fucking Meow all the way. Yeah, so yeah, I think since then, I've been really happy with it. You know, just Meow all the way, you know? And it's really funny because I love the reaction because you go to Starbucks or Fuse Coffee, San Francisco. I say, what's your name? Say Meow. And then, what the fuck? Right? And then, dude, it's so great because I get MEOW, MEL, and sometimes you get it right, MEOW and stuff. And then when the barista gives me my cup, they're always like, Meow. And then I go, Meow. So great. I mean, not everyone like Asian guys, right? But everyone like cats.
Yeah.
You know? Right,
Facts.
there you go. You know? Facts. You know?
100%.
And
So
you
anyway-
like cats?
So is that?
You like cats?
Nah.
No.
Fuck them. I love cats. Yeah, but I'm like, people ask me, do I have a cat? I'm like, no, I am a cat. Right, you know? Right. Anyway, bro, check it out. You see this thing?
Yeah. I got a piercing.
Yeah. No, it's a cat earring.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
it's really great.
There.
Yeah.
Wow. So you really just, it's not just talking it, you're walking it. So
Yeah, walking it, man. You
okay.
know? Yeah.
So
So in summary, that's like the long story. Okay. But this is actually very interesting for me because I think the way I saw myself was actually reflected in my name. Right, you know, right, like from the very early stages of my life, where I called myself by my where I was known by my given name, right? That was like my roots, right? And then it's actually really interesting because this is actually the first time talking about it, right? Even in a personal context, I never talked before. So
there we go.
there we go. Okay,
There we go.
All right. Okay. Bro. Okay. I love you guys. All right. So yeah. Anyway. So it's like when I was younger and stuff, like, I was like given name, right? And then I was like, I was got a bit older in my first valley, right, exposure. I gave myself a name that I think was more like how I wanted other people to see me, more than what I was comfortable with, right? You know. And then I went somewhere in the middle and stuff, right? You know, towards like being a short form on it, but that was a bit too common, right? You know, and that was I guess that was my acceptance stage, you know. And then at this point, like, fuck it, Meow, let's go, Meow all in, you know. So I think it's really interesting. I think if you look back at it,
Yeah, no,
I love that.
it's always good to know the origin story. But now we need so how does Jupiter? What's the Jupiter origin story? Because if the Meow origin story is that great, like, we got to know, like, where did
that's it. I got nothing else. That's it. That's my best story by far. I'm not kidding about my best story.
how did you get into crypto? What were you doing before all this world? And then, like, where did the idea for Jupiter come from? And walk us through all that.
Man, really?
Yeah.
Really? Bro, I need more coffee, bro. Whatever. I mean, I need more vodka, you know, whatever. Right, one sec. Man, holy fuck. No, this is not fair. Tell me about you, bro. Tell me you guys.
We're just two guys with a podcast. That's
Two guys with a
No,
podcast.
just tell me
That's
about
crazy,
like
Marc.
what's your interest and everything, man. It's like you know, like, I mean, you do such a great job vibing, you know, on the podcast, on Twitter, and everything and stuff. Like, you guys, like, community and stuff. Like, tell me a little bit, you know, like, about, like, you know, what drives you know, what you're interested in, shit. You know?
I think we just have a lot of fun in this space. I think both of us, you know, we've both been here now for 3 years. I've been in crypto overall for 8, and it's like I feel like I just have a lot of fun in the crypto space. And one of the things that we wanted to do is kind of showcase, you know, there's a lot of, like, the tech element of things that I think is important for people to know about, but also creating culture around crypto is also incredibly important. And you see it with people like TG, people like Jakey, people like Solana Steve, people like us that are like creating culture around what we're doing in terms of like we're having a lot of fun while operating in this space. And so you see people like Voli and Easy that are, you know, traveling a lot and always creating cool content around that. You have people like Ashen that's always making cool content. Like there's so many really talented people in this space that are like having a lot of fun in crypto. And I think that's one of the things that we wanted to do is just like show off the fun that we're having, bring people on the podcast, have these conversations, and you know
what's funny? You know what's funny? What's funny is this. It's like, you know, Bangers.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so funny.
She's hilarious.
She's hilarious. It's like,
oh man,
oh my god. Anyway, Bangers, I'm a fan, right? And Jakey as well. Holy shit, so good, right? It's like you have these like guys, and then you and you. I mean, I'll also be noticing like your work and stuff. It's just great. Right, you know, right, and annuals I didn't mention to kill me, but I love you too. But then, yeah, I mean, you have Cloud, you have Weezy, you know, you have like, you have like so many great people out there, right? And actually, one thing I do find interesting about the whole fun thing, right, is that I think, I feel like, you know, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the one that embraced the whole ideology. You know, it's like Bitcoin is still rooted very much in the sense that okay, it started from the whole fuck fiat thing, right? You know, fuck fiat, and then became, now it's more a store value thing, right? Now it's less fuck fiat, but more like, okay, Bitcoin is the most like go store value thing. That ideology still like drives most of Bitcoin, right? And then for Ethereum, it's always been this like tech utopia kind of thing, you know, right? Like, okay, like, you know, world computer technology can solve our problems, you know, right? You know, if you put everything on blockchain, it's gonna be great kind of idea, you know, right? And that's like, and each of these things are very much like the founder kind of like ideology, you know, right? I feel like Solana is probably the first like community where fun is like native, you know, to the experience, you know, right?
There's a huge like culture and community behind Solana itself. I think we've collected just like so many different types of people because of like what Solana is, right? Like it's a lower barrier to entry, even like back then when it was about using or getting on the NFTs or swapping, like anything that you're using, right? There's a lower barrier of entry of doing it on Solana, and I think through that we've been able to attract people from like all walks of life, and that's part of the reason why I think we have such a culture, but also like the fun parts of it, because there's so many people that are interested in doing different things. Like someone like Jakey that came from like doing those like prank videos and like jackass style videos, and then you have someone like Bangers, and then you have someone like, you know, I even think of someone like DD from you know, in India, and like you have just a bunch of people from all different walks of life that have different interests, overlapping interests, and just things that they are pushing out in this space from even just like a content perspective.
Precisely. I feel like people talk a lot about the technical barrier to entry, right? But the truth is that there's also this like cultural barrier to entry, right? You know, I mean, have you ever been to a party and you feel uncomfortable?
No, yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you guys been? I don't know. For me, tons, right?
Yeah,
you know, because I'm actually introvert, right? So I feel like I feel like for many if you come to a community and you feel stupid, you know, you feel like you don't know anything, right? That's like a default like barrier entry, you know, right? And I feel like that's actually why I think the whole like fun culture and the whole meme coin culture is so important, you know, because it really kind of lowers the technical barrier entry, you know, to kind of like being part of this space, and that's so important, I think. Yeah,
100%. I think that's one of the aspects that I think is also the easiest thing for people to understand. I had a friend of mine that came over last week, and she saw the Chonky doll over there, and she was like, what is that? And then I was like, well, do you know what meme coins are? And she's like Dogecoin? And I was like, yeah, okay, this is another one on Solana. It's called Chonky. Next thing you know, she's leaving LA and she's like, hey, can I take one of the Chonky plushies with me? I'm like, yeah, I got you. You know, take one. So
funny.
I think there's something about like the meme coin barrier to entry makes it where I think people feel a lot more comfortable with what they're doing. And I also think there's certain times like Sonny and I are both not like ultra tech people in terms of like there's certain times people are talking about stuff and it goes over our head in terms of like we're not devs. We don't get into like the super technical aspects of things. But with that said, we can tell a great meme. So if somebody sends us like a ticker, we know, okay, hey, this one's got the ability to run. This one's fun. This one people want to talk about. We can understand why people would want to talk about this. So we can understand more of the I guess like the social layer of why certain meme coins gain the traction that they do and why other ones don't. And I think that's something that, again, just kind of lowers that barrier to entry. And I think also makes it much easier for us to then explain to somebody else why they should get into Solana, why, like, how much fun we're having and everything like that. It's so much easier to do that. On top of that, the companies that have been building so many great products then makes it easier for us to onboard somebody, because we can just go directly into Phantom, show them Phantom Wallet, then say, hey, show them Jupiter, show them how to swap, things like that. Next thing you know, a person goes from not knowing anything about crypto to a week later, you can be sending them a contract address and that person's buying a meme coin, right? So I just think it just makes it much more fun and much easier for people to want to get into, versus when you start explaining to people like, hey, this person's building an L2 on Ethereum or whatever, and they're like, they're building a what? And it's like, again, there's too many technical layers to that, where the average person's just going to be like, I'm not gonna jump into that. I might get to that point, but I'm not going to start there.
Precisely, right? It's like, and going back to the whole thing is like, okay, like very few people want to overthrow fiat, right? And very few people have this like tech utopian kind of thing, right? But everybody wants to have fun.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I feel like fun is like the universal thing, right, that people want to have. Right? So I feel like that's actually one thing that is actually a really big deal, right? That I think a lot of a lot of people don't see it, right? Right? Yeah, I think it's great.
And it's like rallying around something, right? Like there's so much fun in rallying around things, whether it's a meme coin, whether it's a new protocol, whether it's some tech that's coming out, whether it's an NFT project, whatever. It's like the process in which you rally with other people around you and the connections that you're making while you guys are all believing in something. I think even going back to your question of like why we do this and, being a part of it, I think there's just an aspect of like being a part of something that's like bigger than yourself, right? And like being in this crypto space and the ability to push out content, to potentially onboard people, to have more eyes see what's going on over here and see what we're doing, and even the type of opportunities that it's bringing to our lives. I think there's just an aspect of like, it's bigger than yourself at that point, because if you're truly here to, think that this is like the next financial structure or whatever the case is, then you want to push that forward as much as you can.
Yeah, and I think, everything is important. Tech is important, community is important, finance is important, memes is important. Yeah, I really think that you would take the entire full stack, right, to move it forward. Yeah, for sure.
100%. You were talking earlier about how, kind of building up the trust, and like how trust is super important, and like that's part of the reason why people are so bullish on Jupiter, is because they trust what you guys are doing. So, when you talked about, after FTX and everything like that, there was a lot of people that decided to look in different other blockchains, other regions of the world, just try to figure out, hey, what do we do basically if Solana doesn't end up being as successful as we thought it was going to? During that time, did you guys ever lose faith in Solana? Was there ever a time that you guys were looking into, maybe we need to move our product over to other chains? I guess like where was your head at in terms of, I guess like, yeah, during all the craziest times of FTX and all of that?
First of all, I think I'm actually really proud of my team, right? I think actually many of my team members and stuff, they lost substantial assets, in FTX thing, right? And I actually personally had a large amount of FTX shares, and equity, and also the tokens. But I think we just didn't care, I feel like, how do I put it? Okay, maybe at this point, let me share with you how we think about stuff, okay? Our orientation is never about where do we get the most growth or where to make the most money and stuff. Our orientation is very much about value, right? Where can we add the most value, right? So, and so in that, so it's not even about Solana, right? Or not about anything. It's like, where do we add the most value in the world, right? So it's like, okay, and then from that lens, it's very, very simple, right? You know what I'm saying, right? It becomes very simple. It wasn't even a matter of like it wasn't a matter of like, oh, like everyone, I'm telling you, bro, like, after that happened, and like 20 VCs were calling me. They were like, hey, what do you know, Solana, do you still make it? So everyone, and a lot of founders doing the same thing too, right? So a lot of founders, they were doing that kind of assessment, right? We didn't. I tell you, we spent, I swear to God, we spent zero fucking mental energy on assessing, right? Or judging or predicting. None, zero. We just went, how do we add the most value? And it was very clear for us, right? We spent by the time that happened, we spent the last 2 years in Solana already, right? We had a big community here already, right? I'm saying, it was very clear that the best way for us to add value, right? I'm saying, is to actually double down and build great products, here. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, right? It was a very simple thing. It wasn't about it, like, the whole topic about whether to go somewhere else is kind of redundant for us because it wasn't even a matter of comparing for us. You know what I'm saying, right? So I think that moving forward, that's the same thing too, right? It's not about Solana, it's not about us, it's more like as a project. Given our current knowledge and capability and team, where can we add the most value? That's it. No? Yeah.
I like that. I know, and going back to like you talked about kind of like the slow process and definitely, it's not about the money, more so about the value. I remember.
Okay, hey, I want to be very clear here, right? Can I? Do you mind?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not that idealistic, right? I mean, we live in crypto. Money matters, right?
100%.
I'm saying, right? And then I need to pay my bills, I need to recruit talent, I need to do all some money matters, right? I'm saying, right? It's more like we have a more like foundational belief, right?
Yeah.
That if you provide value, the money will come.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The right kind of value, right? I'm saying if you provide the right kind of value, the right set of people in the right strategic manner, the value will come.
Yeah.
That's how we think about it,
Yeah, no, it's definitely similar too. And like, when we're thinking about people that are creators, right? Like there's 2 lanes. It's almost like very similar in terms of like the lanes that you can take. Like where can you add value and that in return is going to get you money, paid, whatever for the things that you're providing, or, the people that just like shill anything that comes across their table. Right. And so it's
long-term value. It's like, I think the important thing is actually, I think we as creators, I mean, we're all creators, right? We create things, right? I think creators are different. Like we as creators are different from a trader.
Yeah.
Right. A trader should have as little conviction as possible. I should have as little mental. A trader should have extreme mental agility, right? I'm saying, right, like it's not about allegiance. It's not about like goodwill. It's okay. It's like, okay, like have absolutely as little mental baggage as possible, right? But I think creators are a bit different, right? I think creators do actually need that kind of almost like faith,
yeah,
right, in
100%.
things that it's much more of a feeling thing, right? Okay, hey, like
you believe this is gonna work, you believe it's gonna be
successful, you believe,
yeah.
and then you commit, and you might be correct, might not be correct and stuff, right? And you're just gonna in some sense, I feel like we as creators, right, what we are doing is that we are sending out back to the universe, we're like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then you hope you attract the right kind of people to support you, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually probably like the biggest difference from just a pure like mental, emotional point of view from a trader.
Yeah. And so going back to it, like I've heard from, a couple like founders before and like people that talk like when a token comes out and let's say it just like instantly is a 1,000x like with a meme coin, right? Like we saw with like Bohm when it went to 1 billion, or sometimes when NFT projects come out and they go like straight to a high floor, then it's almost like after that upside is much, much harder than if you're kind of on that slow rise. And I remember when the Jupe airdrop was there, you kind of had a mechanism for the token pricing, right? Where it's like it can't necessarily just like escape and get into, I actually have like a real price discovery to it instead of just like a straight like moonshot. And so how important is that to you, like with the token itself, as far as just like having that kind of more slow grind in terms of the value, right? Versus like it, going to like $100 tomorrow or whatever the case is, right? Like how important was that in terms of like the planning process of putting out the token?
I mean, honestly speaking, we didn't really plan.
Okay.
It was more like we just wanted to. Okay. Okay, I think I mean we are experimenters, right? You know, we're experimenters, right? I think and we wanted to develop a mechanism. We wanted to develop a mechanism where and we want to experiment on the mechanism, right? Where we could kind of have tokens for sale in an extremely transparent way, right? You know, but also make it, but also do it in a way such that like if the token doesn't do well, we get less. Token do bad, we get more, kind of thing, right? So that was actually the thinking behind it, right? And so the thinking behind it was actually quite idealistic. We were like, okay, it makes sense that if the token does well, because what we didn't want to do is that we didn't want the token to like maybe. Okay, so one thing that I was like quite careful with was hype, right? You know, I didn't want the token to like go to like $2 from hype, and just go to and just drop like crazy, right? I'm saying I think that burns quite a lot of people, right, per se, right? So that was actually so that was actually something that I think I was trying to prevent, right? You know, so I was like, okay, what we do this thing where so basically if the token goes to a lot, right, and then and then drops and stuff, but the pool is still there for people to sell back into, right? You know, and that's actually what happened, by the way. You know, the token the token went to like almost like 70 cents for, on the very first day, and then it retreated to 45 cents, right? You know, right? And then they became 48, right? So and that makes sense because we didn't basically the pool was there, right? It wasn't like we sold it and we took the money out.
Yeah.
Right? The pool was there, right? In fact, we kept the pool there. In fact, we kept most of the pool there for like, I think about 90 days or something, you know, right? Some crazy amount of time, right? You know, right? So I think that was actually how I thought about it, right? It's like, cool. We wanted to obviously have liquidity, and we didn't do OTC. We didn't do OTC, by the way, right? We are probably the only major project in the top 100 infra or developer in top 100 that didn't directly sold the token, you know, right? I think, but basically we want to do it in a way such that like if the token did well over a number of time, then it did well, right? But if not, we didn't take the money. Then it was still there, you know, for a period of time. Yeah, so I think that mechanism was like not really understood at the start, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people was cursing us for it.
Yeah,
they were like, "Fuck you! You are like, I mean, you're ruining price discovery, blah blah blah." And it's funny because in crypto, right? Sometimes the more transparent you are, the more it gets shit on. You know, because people see it, right? Whereas if a project just say allocates like say 10%, right, to ecosystem development fund or something, right, and then they just sell 10%, they just sell 5% of that OTC, right? And saying, right, no one ever sees that, right? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the thing that I think the hard road that we took was to make everything fucking transparent, right? You know what I'm saying? I think that was like. So I think that was like short-term painful for us because we were developing all these new mechanisms, right, that no one really understood, and we didn't understand as well, right, because we were experimenting, right. But I think in the long run, I think it really helped, you know, because I think it built a certain trust in the community, right. I mean, that I think isn't there for other projects, you know. Yeah, actually coming up, there's a 30% token reduction vote, right. So and actually my intention is to use that vote as a way to help everyone understand, you know, some of the new like the tokenomics. You know, the token design, right? You know, the token distribution. That I think because we talked about token distribution like 6 months ago, you know. But again, right, that was like everyone was like hyper bullish back then, so no one really cared about it. Right. So now with the vote coming up, I think it's a really good chance, right? You know, for everyone to kind of discuss that again. You know, yeah. So I think again, it's not easy, but I feel like if at this early stage, everyone has a very clear understanding of like the 50-50 principle, you know, and how that token might be used and stuff. I think that's going to be much better. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm always excited for it. Always love the different votes. Always love seeing the different comments on it. Again, I think that it's one of the coolest. I mean, you talked about it. It's like one of the I mean, the biggest DAO has to be the biggest DAO in Solana. And again, seeing people talk about the different votes and everything like that, you get to really see different opposing views and things like that. And they're always like educated opposing views too, which I think is really interesting. Is it's like it's really bringing together a lot of really smart minds who are talking about why they're for something, why they're against something. And I think there's a lot that we can take away from that. My question for you would be, when you see kind of like, you know, some of the other, I guess, like, you know, token drops that have happened over the last, you know, 6 months or so. We've seen, you know, we're getting ready for Cloud. We've seen Wormhole. We've seen, you know, some of the other big ones that we've had. I'm blanking.
Pith was there.
Pith was there. Jito was there. I think
Dim.
We've had so many.
Yeah, Camino was there. Camino, Drift as well. Yeah, Shaki, everything. Yeah.
Which I think in a way almost makes people numb to airdrops. Like everybody got really excited about airdrops from you guys, and then I think from there it's gone progressively downhill. Even like Cloud is getting ready to drop theirs, and I actually think it's going to be pretty lucrative for a number of people, but yet there's like hardly anybody on the timeline really talking about it right now. And so what have you, I guess, like, what has been the biggest learning lesson over the last like 6 months or so in terms of layer zero and ZK Sync?
Yeah,
like so many.
No, but those are important because like people hated them.
Yeah,
like people the ZK Sync thing, people really turned against them.
Yeah,
right. And then who was that project that caught their project e-baggers? Who was that?
I know who you're talking about.
What was that?
Who called their project what?
They caught their users e-baggers.
Oh.
Was that? I'll cut this out if I'm not right, but was that Marinade?
No. It wasn't Solana. It's someone else.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's fine. Yeah, but it was like, wow.
Marinade just catching a stray.
Stop saying it. I got to cut the name out now.
Just cut it. Bling.
Yeah, bleep it.
Bleep it. Yeah, but there's another project there, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Sorry, saying what's the question? Sorry.
Was like what has been like the biggest learning lesson? Because I feel like we've seen now people. You know, you had a conversation that you hosted with everybody over at Cloud. You know, talking to them, or everybody over with Sanctum and everything like that. What is like the biggest learning lesson, or I guess like what is the biggest thing that you had to that you weren't anticipating that you've had to deal with when it comes to you know, Jupe since launch?
I mean, Jupe. Or airdrops in general?
Airdrops in general, but like, and then specifically Jupe, but like airdrops in general, like, do we just have too many right now? Is it like people, what's the biggest, like, what have you learned about airdrops in general since all of this has gone down?
I learned that, okay, can I be honest here?
Yeah.
Can I be honest here?
Of course.
I think people suck at airdrops. I think people suck at airdrops. I feel
expand
like
on that.
Everyone fucking sucks at airdrops, right? I'm saying, and then I feel like, I'm not saying I'm good at them, by the way, you know what I'm saying? You know, right? But I feel like, man, okay.
Like from a distribution standpoint, from a claim standpoint, like,
man, okay,
everything.
you know what? They're gonna kill me, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Okay, cool. Man, I'm dropping so much like you know, shit here. I mean, okay, whatever. It's like dating. Okay, it's like dating. Okay, right? It's like you. Okay, imagine you give a girl a present, okay, or someone a present, and you rub it in their face. You go like, "Hey, I'm giving you a fucking present, bro." You know, like fucking appreciate it, right? You know what I'm saying, right? No, right? Or you say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you, I'm going to, you know, hey, baby, I'm gonna give you this really big present. You're gonna be really fucking happy with it, right?" And you give her a dead flower. You know what I'm saying, you know, right? You know, or just think of any number of ways, right, to fuck up giving a present. Right? Or you give a present, but you accidentally get laid. And you don't get laid. And you just get all grouchy about it. You know what I'm saying right now? Right. Yeah. So I feel like there are all kinds of there are all kinds of ways to give, or for example, you there are all kinds of ways and stuff to give something and it end up poorly. Right? Or you can do this thing, or you can just imagine, okay? Okay. If you walk on the streets. Okay, for example, Marc, would you be happy with free $50?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But what if I throw in your fucking face? Like, fuck you, bitch, here's $50.
Well, I wouldn't be as happy, but I'd still take the $50 if I'm being honest. But I wouldn't, man. I wouldn't be as happy if they threw it at me. Yeah.
I mean, it's someone that on the streets come to you, throw that spit in your face.
Here, let's try this. Let's go outside after this. Throw $1 million at me.
$1 million.
Well, bro. Okay, the amount matters, right? But you get my point. Okay, how about $1?
We gotta work.
Cents,
we gotta work our way up. We gotta work
our side. I'm gonna give you $1. Just throw it in Marc's face as hard as you can.
But you get my point, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like the infinite ways to give a present in a way that it fucks people over. It ruins the whole vibe of it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like just like how and obviously so many things are unknown, right? Like people don't know how much it's gonna be. What like for example, if Jupe was like, you know, like 2 cents, you know, versus like 50 cents, it'll be a big difference, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, right? And obviously when we design Airdrop, we have no idea how much Jupe was gonna be, right? We had no idea. I'm saying just no idea at all, right? You know, so I think all those things like combine to make Airdrops really fucking difficult, right? You know, right? Yeah, but I feel like the most fundamental thing I feel, right, is that that most projects, right, they see Airdrops as they try to do it in a very fair way, you know, fair. You go like, okay, this person did A, this person did Y, and therefore you should get A or B and stuff, right? But I feel like fairness is not in the eyes of the judge, right? You know, fairness is in the eyes of the beholder, you know. So you can go ahead and do the most fair thing you think, you know. But if a lot of people don't think it's fair, then it's not fair, right? You know, and it just ruins the vibe of it, right? You know, I think that's also for example, I think for example, the project they called the community e-baggers, right? You know, right? That is also something whereby, okay, literally you give someone money with a spit in their face kind of thing, right? You know, right? So you know, so I feel like airdrops are extremely hard because they require they do actually require the giver, right? You know, to do it in a way that that doesn't trigger a lot of unhappiness, you know, on unfairness, right? Also, it's different too because I think they see it from a giver point of view, right? Okay, I'm giving you 100, I'm giving you 1. You should be happy because you're getting 1, right? But the person getting 1 doesn't see it that way. You see, what the fuck is he getting 100? You know what I'm saying right now? Yeah. Again, fairness is in the eyes of the beholder, not the giver.
Yeah.
Okay, for anyone who's watching this and doing an airdrop, I'll say again, okay? Fairness is in the eyes of the receiver, not the giver. Okay? The biggest mistake that people give is I give you $1, you should be happy. Right? No. The person getting $1 is not gonna think that way. Right? He's gonna think the guy's getting 100. Why am I getting this? Right? You know, so I think that's the number one mistake people make. You know, it's not understanding that it's not giving the certain empathy, you know what I'm saying, to the person receiving, you know, right? And secondly, it's like, you know, and secondly, having expectations as well, right? Yeah. And yeah, I think and also whether the airdrop was promised beforehand, whether there was any kind of point system, that changes dynamic a lot as well, right? Because it changes from a pure gift to almost like a reward. You know what I'm saying, you know? And especially if the airdrop has been happening for a long time, right? For example, in some protocols, they have been in there for a long time, you know, and they have some points on it for a long time. That also changes dynamic a lot, you know. Yeah, so I feel like and here's the hardest thing about airdrops. You only kind of do it once, pretty much, right? You can do a second or third one in the future, but it's not as impactful as the first one, right? So you only lose your virginity once, right? You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, unlike most losses of virginity, this one is happening pretty big deal. You know? Right, you know, right? Yeah, so it's tricky, yeah.
Marc doesn't know about that yet.
No, man. Marc has taken, I'm sure Marc has taken so many. Holy shit.
You gotta chill.
Marc is like, oops, twice a day. Twice a day, bitch. You know?
So no, that makes sense.
So how do you think about now? It's like, okay, all these people have gotten this big Jupiter airdrop and things like that. Now we've had active staking rewards and everything like that. How do you think about continually, I guess, like appeasing that group of people now? Right?
I don't.
Okay. So what? So
I don't. I really don't. I feel like I really don't. I don't at all. I feel like the single road to hell for you and your community and your mental health for your project and your community of mental health is to think of appeasing anybody, right? I mean, think of it. Same thing, right? Sorry,
Bars.
Yeah, I mean, think about same thing. Think of you in a relationship, right? I mean, dude. I mean, if you are in a relationship, but you're thinking of appeasing someone, you should be out of that shit. Like Insta, red flag, right? Forget it. Just get the fuck out, right? So I do not like the word appease is not a meta model at all. Just like the whole just like how I told you earlier about like how I'm jumping to an ecosystem. It's not in my mental, not so much because Solana whatsoever, right? But because like my core philosophy is value. You know what I'm saying, So I think in this case, my core philosophy is existence. It sounds a bit zen, right? But let me explain to you, right? I feel like okay, we are all in this together, right? You know what I'm saying, right? It's like all in this together, right? Everybody in the ecosystem, right? Me included and stuff, right? Have a role to play, right? So it's much less about even if someone is very angry at me, right? It's never appeasing someone, right? You know what I'm saying, right? The only it's about okay, hey, we are in this together. We got this common goal. Now, first of all, how do I make you trust me? Right, that I wouldn't like. One day I talk about PPP a lot, right? So people think that PPP, like people misunderstand PPP means that the token should be pump. No, that's no such thing, right? We don't live in magic world, right? PPP means that like player pump player, right? That means that you trust that that fundamentally I'm out to pump you. I want the best for you, right? So I feel like that is the first thing that I do, right? Like I think I feel like my main job is not to appease anyone, but if I break the trust, right, that the community doesn't trust me to do the best for them, all right, or they trust that I will take profit, I'm saying even when they are fucked, right, then I lost, then I failed. I'm saying, so so I think that's actually very important, So I feel like that's the underlying basis for the whole thing, right? It's like if which is also why I made the whole, which is why I'm also proposing, the Jubilee thing, right? The Jubilee thing, right? It's a voting mechanism, right? And it's actually very relevant to this, right? Now, because if I had gone ahead with the Jubilee, right? I might trigger a war, between holders and the users, right? At current juke value, 10% is quite a bit, right? Okay. So let's take a step back. Fundamentally, it's about trust. Very, very important, right? Everyone has to have a basic trust, right? The community as a trust team that we're gonna keep building. We're gonna be here. We're going to communicate. We're going to do our best. Even if we fuck up, we're just going to admit they were fucked up, right? That's the good thing. And then the team has to trust the community, right? That the community really wants the best for the project, right? And the community also has to trust that the users are not farmers. They're actually users, right? I'm saying, so there's actually there's this so the whole thing lies on this basis of trust, that without a trust, it's impossible to coexist. Forget it. Done. Right? Over. Right? So I think my first thing that I think of every single day is how do I maintain that trust? That's really what I think about. Right? And same thing, right? For example, if you're in a mono relationship, right, then you got to maintain that trust. If you're a poly one, open one, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in. Right? I'm saying, right? You got to build a trust. Between the people. And once the trust is gone, everything's gone. Right? And then on top of the trust, right? Okay, becomes hey, how do you create mechanisms, right? To your point, right? About like how do you allow them to collaborate effectively, right? So ASI is a good example of that, right? ASI is a good example of like us activating the community, right? To vote on things that are like really important, the CWG and Launchpad, and but perhaps not totally as consequential yet, right? But the next you see after the first ASR, right? The second ASR, okay, wow, we're moving on to really consequential stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like token reduction, like token reduction. Like, do we distribute like billions in value over 2 years? You know what I'm saying, right? And also, and also, do we do this ASR for a long time, right? So it becomes like this kind of thing about, okay, cool. So, and let me get to it, right? Now, so, imagine if I don't do the jubilary vote, right? I might trigger off something like a fight, between the holders, right, and the users, right? And what's going to happen is that the most vocal people are going to be loudest, The most vocal holders are going to fuck these guys, right? And then the most vocal users are going to fuck these guys. I'm saying things like that, right? And then I've already seen that. I've actually already seen that, right? You know what I'm saying? But then what I want to do is simple, right? I think by making a vote kind of thing, right? And by making the holders actively vote, right? Be like, okay, we want to do this thing, okay? Like we trust that if you do this thing, right? And saying, yes, the token will be more liquid, we'll grow the Juke community, and then we'll actually be better off, right? It's a very active thing that they do, right? That they are choosing to potentially hurt their own interests. I'm saying in order to grow the bigger good, right? And that's one thing they do. And if they vote no, okay, great. Like it's up to me to come up with a new proposal, right? Do I lower the amount? Do I lower the amount? You know what I'm saying, or do I frame it differently? Or do I spread it out? What do I do? Right? Make sense? Right, it's up to me, right? Because basically, if I want the GP to happen, I got to really work for it, right? I'm saying, yeah. So I feel like in doing so, it builds trust, right? Because the next jubilary thing is going to be much better, right? Because it's much better because it no longer becomes this thing whereby people are worried about blah blah blah. No, because we as a community, right, agreed to do this thing. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's very powerful. It's very, very powerful. So I feel like so in summary, I feel like you have this trust layer, and then you have this mechanism, the DAO, the ASR, right, and everything and stuff, right, which is like meant to facilitate, and you're on top of the trust, you have the communication and mechanisms like the planetary cores, the DAO, the working groups, right, and we need all these mechanisms, right? I'm saying otherwise you won't have the necessary mechanisms to actually facilitate these things, right? And then on top of the underlying trust, on top of the mechanisms, you have that alignment piece. You know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, basically it's alignment, it's a mechanisms, and it's about trust. That's how we think about it. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
So okay. So here's what I want to get into from here. I mean, I feel like right now we're
does it make sense though?
Yeah,
I'm actually really. It's actually really important to me that because honestly, let's just help it forward, right? I think, and because you're part of the community, right? So I appreciate so much, right? That part of it, right? Right? And obviously we belong to a number of communities together, right? Both of us, right? Right? And obviously we belong to this big community called the universe, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I'm just curious, does it make sense to you, this whole thing?
Yeah, 100%. I actually think what you're basically saying is that in order for if you're trying to think, if you go, okay, I have to reward all these people or they're going to be pissed off at me. What it does is it almost feels like there's this constant state of searching for that next thing that's going to make them happy. And instead what you're saying is, hey, we have to build this trust that they know that we have aligned incentives to make this thing great. If they know that we have aligned incentives, then they're going to have more trust in me that I'm going to do the things that are going to make them happy down the road, but they also have to give it time. What you've then done is you've gone out there and you've made these posts where you've talked about some of the decisions that you would like to see made based off what you've learned from this whole experience. But then it gets put to a vote, which allows everybody to feel like their voice truly matters in it, which also then leads to discourse, like Sonny's mentioned, that is going to then have people go, okay, I feel like, again, my opinion on this matters, and it's going to make people that much more long-term bullish on what you guys are doing, because it's going to feel like
we are doing as a community,
right, together, right?
Yeah,
it's
together.
It's not just Jupiter and the team making all of these decisions, but it's people that are in the community have a voice. Their voice matters. What they're saying matters. Everything like that. So I think what you're essentially saying is that you want to build this whole group of people that truly are. Everybody has this kind of same North Star that they're all reaching for, and that together we're pushing to make Jupiter the greatest DAO, the greatest project possible, and we're going to do that by everybody contributing their opinion, and it's not just one person's opinion, it's everybody's.
Yeah, I know and to move on, but I think let's talk about that real quick, right? I think that's actually a really a concept that people don't understand. That I think I want to share because I think it help other projects, right, to think about. There really is something powerful, about because Because I mean, honestly, a lot of people go, yeah, even a lot of decentralized advocates, right? They go, yeah, decentralized communities can't make decisions. They say that a lot, right? I don't think it's true. I think it's true that decentralized communities cannot execute products or strategy, because you do actually need a certain like a team to execute on things, right? But I think decentralized communities can actually make decisions, and when they do, it's contentious, it's tricky, it's nasty, it's a lot of nasty stuff. But when they do, right, the resulting outcome is so much more beautiful. I'm saying, right? Like for example, it's like again back to a point, right? I feel like people think that the 30% reduction is a no-brainer, right? I don't think so. I think it's gonna trigger a lot of discussions at the very least, right? About also like the key idea Jupiter, right? I think the Jupiter thing, I think that'll be very interesting. I got no idea how they'll work, right? Because in some sense, we are actually asking if a group of holders will deliberately at least on paper, right, vote against their own interests.
Yeah.
Right, and it's gonna be really interesting, right? Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Right, it's gonna be really interesting because like if that vote goes through, it actually shows. Guys, it's interesting, right? If that vote goes through, it will show that wow, a community is actually capable, and able to think long term. That's pretty astonishing, right?
Yeah.
Think about it, because it will completely break, the notion that DAO are this mindless thing that just vote for their own interests. But of course it might fail, right? Cool. If it might fail and stuff, but if I want it to happen, right, I'll be like, okay, great. I take the feedback, I'll come back again. You know what I'm saying, no? But whatever the thing is and stuff, right, and even if it fails in the end, okay, the community has decided we should do this, right? And that's powerful too. There's power there too.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So and then what we do? We just burn all that shit, right? Burn all that. I'm not joking. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like okay. So I feel like yeah. Then obviously if I burn all that, then the proportionally style the team allocation will grow, right? Then are they okay with that, right? You know what I'm saying, so there are some really interesting dynamics here, right? You know what I'm saying. So I feel like whatever happens, I think it will be a great experiment.
Uh-huh.
And I do actually think it'll be a pretty pivotal moment in DAOs. Like can a DAO, because the common perception is that DAOs always vote in their own interests, right? And okay, in this case, of course they should, but in this case, can they vote? Will they vote? Can I convince them that it's in their long-term interest, right? And then will they vote in the long-term interest? We'll see. I think it's fun.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. Very interesting to see.
I think super interesting. Yeah, super interesting. Yeah.
So obviously you're one of the most respected people in the space. So I want to give you a chance to give like your kudos to other people in the space who are building really cool things right now. So is there anybody that stands out to you in terms of whether it's you personally that you've noticed, or whether it's the Jupe team has noticed, like, hey, we see certain people that are building really, really cool stuff. These are people that we're inspired by, people that kind of, motivate us in different ways and things like that. Is there anybody that comes to mind initially from that?
Yeah, I think I think it might sound cheesy and stuff, but we are really fucking inspired by the community. It's true. I mean, like we see everyone who's like contributing to the Discord, saying right now to connect creators like you guys and Clouds and Wheezy and like and Bangers and Jakey and stuff. I think it really truly motivates us. It's a really big honor for us to see that like others are like like putting like real like hard emotional like organized general and whatnot, right? And also like do and like I mean I so many like Zero X Sensei, like everyone, right? Fabino, I there's too many to name, right? But I think that is actually really motivating for us, right? Because you really have people who are out there, like sharing about Jupiter and talking about Jupiter and stuff, right? And it's just really touching for us. So that's first and foremost, right? I think in terms of other builders and stuff, I think I feel like the other is like everyone who kind of like been through the last like winter, right? Not just on Solana but kind of everywhere, right? I think everyone who worked through the last winter is like incredibly inspiring for us, because ultimately, the future is. I love to say this, right? It's like the future is not built. The winners are not built in the bull. It's not. It's built in the bear, right? Every single person who appears to be winning now, they are grinding through the bear, right? Either they have been like even the meme coins, right? I'm telling you, even those anon meme coins that they look anon, right? 100%. I'm telling you, man. Like, I mean, you can call them the cabal or whatever, right? But they've been working as shit. And so like all throughout the bear, right? You know, and because that's actually how you grow, you know, and how you train your muscles, right? So I feel like to anyone who has been grinding and stuff, right? You know, it's a really important. And then every time I see a fellow project that I know like grind through things, I'm like, bro, respect, bro. You know, so that's another thing that's like deeply respectful for me. Yeah, and obviously you know, really big kudos to you know, to Solana itself, you know, to Tolly, right? I think Tolly and Raj and everyone else in the foundation, Austin, Lily, everyone. Ben Sprago. I mean, we work through the bear, right? We work through the bear together, right? And I think being able to just like cast aside all the fart, right, and all the hate, and all the accusations, and all the things, and each of them just focused, you know, on what they could do, you know, right? Like you know, like totally focused relentlessly on the engineering side of things, right? Facing through a number of things, the downtime, right? You know, Austin Ferreira just constantly communicated through all that stuff, you know, saying, you know, Ben just kept trying to grow the ecosystem, you know what I'm saying? So everyone just tried to do their best to keep it forward, right? I think and I feel like that is actually almost like underrated, if you may, right? Being able to just like relentlessly work through things. So that was actually inspiring for me, right? You know, to see. And certainly I think one of the biggest things that we need especially is leadership, you know, right? Like when people see a group of people, right, striving and pushing forward and stuff, regardless of how difficult the circumstances are, it really works, you know, right? It really works. We talk about hype and money, right? In this space, we don't talk enough about leadership.
100%.
You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying, right? We talk a lot about like how someone created a hype, number of followers, engagement, money, you know, capital raise, right? But the thing that we don't talk about is leadership, you know, right? So I think every time I see someone who is like exhibiting leadership, I feel very inspired. Let me think of a few others.
I think based off that though, I think that's something too that doesn't get talked enough about is that like when we were in the bear market, especially as like creators in this space, you're super nervous because we're like, man, we're not really the ones that are like building the tech that's going to, when we talk about like onboarding the masses, we're not the ones who build the tech that makes that happen. We're the ones who make the content around the people who are building the tech. And so I think when you're in this space and you're making content on a daily basis and stuff like that, and the bear market for a lot of people was very depressing because there was every day you go on the timeline and there's somebody posting, you know, if you sold this at this point, you'd be up X, Y, and Z, but you didn't, and you bag held, and you're broke as shit. And like those posts are rampant, and they're common, and they're depressing every single time.
Oh, so funny.
And so then when you would see people like Mert, and you would see people like Raj and Tolly, see people like yourself, see people like Bartosz and Jordan, and different people that like every time you went on Twitter, you would see them making different comments, and you would see them, you know, rooting for Solana, rallying Solana, getting everybody in the community still excited, talking about, you know, all the different reasons why they should be bullish, all the different tech that's being built, all these different things. It's hard for you not to be inspired by that because, again, it's so easy during those times to kind of, you know, keep your head down, build, and not necessarily be as like vocal and transparent. But like that's the big part of it, is being the vocal and transparent with it.
No, it's so true, man. So true. Have you seen my Mert Legend essay?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. I love it. Yeah. But it's fine. Yeah, but to your point, right? I think it's funny because like it's actually during those times you really need to communicate.
100%.
Right? You know what I'm saying? You know, right? It's so true because how do I put it? This is, I mean, back to heroes, right? I think there's so many people who are like building foundation stuff, right? You know, like you know, the guy who created the ERC20, you know, like that's fucking foundational, right?
Yeah.
To everything, right? I mean, like literally, I think no, like DeFi would, like the whole thing would work, you know, it's not for ERC20. right? So I feel like there's all these like people who create like, all these like foundational standards, right? And financial cryptography, right? I think every time I know who they are, I actually make it a point to send them a DM. And I'll be like, hey, dude, you know what? Like, thanks for doing this, right? I make it a point, you know what I'm saying, right? To do that, to thank them, right? And then so I really really feel like I feel like in this space, I think the loud like people who like the more prominent founders or the more prominent traders or the influencers, they get the attention. But I think there's so many people who create those like foundational standards, right? That I think it's so important to making this work that we kind of like don't think about. But I try to think about them, right? Yeah. And to a point earlier, I think being vocal is very important, especially when things are not great. Yeah. I know. I think and guess what? Like the winners, like the winners of this cycle are the ones that were vocal throughout the bear.
100%.
Right, right, and I think it's so great. I really feel like I really feel like if whether you're a creator or builder and stuff, it almost matters less like what ecosystem you're in, right? But find an ecosystem that you like the people and you like the community and you can add value in and stuff and grind there for a bit. I'm saying, right, grind there for a bit, because whatever you do and stuff, right, you're gonna learn a lot, and be part of something, and then and even if the ecosystem doesn't work out, you learn a lot, and that's almost the difference between like a creator or a trader. A trader can switch their positions in a moment, in a second, right? Creators can't. Creators don't have that luxury. Creators need to invest, need to build relationships, need to understand a craft really well, right? And for us as creators, understanding a craft means a lot more than just how to use a microphone, everything, right? It involves like building relationships, building trust, knowing who is who, right? Like talking to people in the right way, right? Figuring out what to do, like what do people need, right? What's the right vibe? Right vibe is so important, bro.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
vibe is so important.
Oh, 100%.
Vibe is so fucking important, bro. Like, and another thing that is vibe. We talk about vibe a lot, but it's one of those things that's like very like overhyped but underappreciated. How to do it, no one knows how to do it, right? You gotta find your own vibe in the space, right? Right? And shout out to Bangers, man. I think she created her own vibe.
Oh yeah,
right? And she owned the cringe thing now. It's amazing.
She's putting phones in microwaves.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's great.
Not even just that. You heard her country song?
Yeah,
The song was incredible.
Yeah, so great. But she kind of found her own way into it, right?
Yeah.
She invested enough time and effort into like knowing what projects are what, right? Knowing her own role in it, and just eventually and on owning the whole cringe thing, right? I'm like, fuck it, let's go, right? So I feel like as a creator, you have to invest in a way that a trader doesn't, Yeah, so I think that's actually really important.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen. I think even with us, we've seen so many like content creators, like Bangers, like like a Jakey, like I don't know, Beck and Ashen and some all these people, but it's like you saw them posting and continuing to bull post through the bear, continuing to make those relationships during the bear, continuing to learn about these different things that were going on. And to your point, same thing, with the builders, it's like the people that were here during those times that decided to double and triple down and continue to put in efforts and continue to, deploy, whether it's effort or actual capital or whatever the case may be, are the ones that have positioned themselves to be way more successful now that more money is circulating, more, people need certain things, like more businesses are looking to work with these creators and so forth. And now you're seeing a lot of them be positioned in a way that it's way more successful, like of what they've been grinding towards.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I think, I love creators, right? I have a really, really, really soft spot for creators, right? In fact, that's the reason why I did the whole work group concept, right? In the whole group thing, because I really wanted a way to kind of work with creators in a way that was very difficult for myself to scale. Right, so I want to scale like and work with more creators, right? But it was hard for me to do it myself, so I created this whole work group thing to try to do that. Yeah, I think one last thing is that I think on the whole creator thing is that find your vibe. Like it almost matters less like which ecosystem you're in. Right? I think there are a lot of great ecosystems out there. Find your vibe, and find your thing and do your best. And the bull will come and the bear will come. and when the bear comes, it's gonna be painful. But your efforts are whatever you do in the bear is going to be much more visible. That's the thing to understand.
Oh, 100%.
People don't know that.
Oh, a lot of people left during the bear.
That's why it's like that's why it's like that's why during the bear it's your time. It's the time to shine. Right? So harvest. I always tell people harvest during the bull. Like a lot of people I know and stuff. They during the bull they get overly happy. They just they just spend here, spend there, do whatever they want and stuff. They don't conserve the energy, right? So for me, it's very different. For me, I'm always planning for the bull, for the bear, right? I'm not even joking. I'm always planning for the bear, all right? Right? It's like for me, it's very simple, right? It's like okay, it's not if but when the bear comes, right? I want to be fucking ready, man. I want to be fucking ready, man, because I want to be fucking ready, I want to be fucking loaded, I want to have the best team possible, the best morale possible, right? Like when the bear comes, I want to have the most. When the bear comes, I want to have the most. I want to have the most capable resources. I want to have the best team. I want to have the most as a community, and just go.
100%.
Right, that's what I want to be. Being a bear, right?
Locked in.
I'd be ready for all of
Dialed
it.
in.
So here's a question I have for you, because you've obviously been building this space for a long time. We've seen now more than ever before the amount of people that are coming over from the Bitcoin community, the Ethereum community, who are spending a lot of time in Solana, utilizing the tech of Solana, enjoying the experience of Solana. And, more and more and more, we're seeing less of the, FUD points that we all got tired of in 2021 and 2022 of the chain goes down all the time and, yada, 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 all the different, Ethereum's going to fix for this, we're not going to need Solana at some point, yada, yada, yada. Like we've kind of seen a lot of those FUD points go away, and a lot of those people are coming over to Solana and enjoying the tech, enjoying the experience and things like that. What are your thoughts on that? Was that something that you just expected at some point was going to happen, just based off you utilizing Solana and kind of knowing how great the tech is? Or I guess what were your thoughts in general about the amount of people that have come over to Solana and really, really enjoyed the experience? Is there anything that stands out to you on that?
Things move in cycles, right? There's a very cyclic thing to think. I think you really have to understand. I won't say I expected it, but I would say that I kind of thought it would happen.
Yeah.
I'm very careful with this because I don't want to make myself sound like I'm smart or I know, right? That's very important for me. I did expect that, right? The reason is because I think you kind of have to go against the expected norm, right? Ethereum being the bigger community and much more established like a couple years ago, by far, right? In terms of capital, in terms of like users, in terms of like projects and everything and stuff. Even today, you go to FCC, is a really big deal, right? A DevCon is a really fucking big deal, right? And the number of investors who actually have invested in Ethereum is much, much more, right? Just from a pure like investment point of view, right? Way, way, way more, right? That invest in Solana by far, right? Think of VCs like SHZ and Paradigm. You compare their Ethereum level Ethereum investments to the Solana ones, it's trivial, not even comparable. Right? Not even comparable. So I think because of that, there's actually this enormous amount of of capital and influence and stuff, and pushing the Ethereum narrative, right? So and that was like and that was the case for the last 2 years, right? It's only this year it started to shift, right? So I think for me, right, it was like, for me, I've learned to tune out, those things, right? Basically, it's just like during when Bitcoin was messy, I learned to like tune it out, and start focusing on like Ethereum, because that was like certainly where the world was going to me, right? Even though the Bitcoin messes were very loud, but even though Bitcoin messes was very loud and stuff, it was so obvious that people wanted more coins and to do more than the coins, right? So that's what happened. And similar in this case, stuff like the Ethereum messages were really, really loud, about how like L2 to the future and everything, right? But I am not one to the reason why I always knew was very simple. I think I'm a builder, right? So I actually built WBTC, right? RepBTC, right?
No, what is it?
RepBTC.
No, tell me more about that.
RepBTC is the largest rep token in the world.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Basically, you take BTC wrap into Ethereum. I started that.
Oh no,
right? Yeah, it's like a few billion, whatever, right? So I think so I did a lot of cross-chain stuff before. I did different stuff before. So I had a very intimate understanding of interchain stuff, right? And so and back in I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think there was this conversation about like how L2s would lose composability. And Vitalik basically wrote this entire blog post, right, about how it wouldn't matter, how this new paradigm of passing things, right? I mean, okay, I love Vitalik, but I read that post and like, this fucking bullshit. Right? Like, it doesn't work, bro. It's like not possible. It's like you can't actually achieve like composability between chains and shards. Right? You know, in the same way you can accomplish it like on a single chain. Right? So I think basically all is to say that I think like over the last 2 years, I built up a certain like understanding of what parts of the Ethereum narrative is correct, you know, right? And what parts of the Ethereum narrative are like wrong, right? You know, right? So I think with that understanding in mind and stuff, it was pretty obvious to me that it was always gonna converge towards one chain, right? You know, that really had all the basic stuff that was needed, right? And you see that for the last 2 years and stuff. Solana was growing that base, right? The number of the different DEX securities, the different systems, the different like the culture beats, everything. It really started growing, right? And up to a point that okay, you can see that like it converges on a single chain, while still smaller than the bigger system, had enough of value prop, you know, to really attract a lot more people here, right? Yeah. So in essence, I think, but I think I'm wrong. I think I'm not maxi, right? I'm never maxi, right? So I think what's actually really important is to go like, okay, cool, all right. So I think I was able to kind of like again, not trying to sound smart, but I think I had a pretty good sense of what was the advantages of Ethereum and what's disadvantages of Ethereum, both from adoption and technology and ecosystem point of view, and kind of use that to kind of like understand kind of what's going on, right? You know, and then so I think I kind of understood what's going on. I think moving forward, right? I think Solana is gonna be really great. It's really great. But moving forward, if you go a few years out, for example, right? Now, the incentive to create new chains and to have their own chain ecosystems, right? And interchain technology is gonna get better, right? So I think you are going to have billions of chains and billions of tokens. That's the world that we're moving in. Not because it's necessary, but because you haven't.
100%.
Right? So I feel like as a builder, right? So I feel like as a builder, as a creator, it's important not to maxi, right? It's important to kind of really invest. So it's a bit tricky dynamic because you really want to invest. Right? I invested a lot in Ethereum, by the way. You know, I think part of the reason why I was effective in Ethereum was that I did invest a lot in that ecosystem, right? You know, and same thing for this, right? So I feel like the important thing for us as creators and participants is to really invest in understanding things and being part of something, right? You know, but not be maxi.
100%.
You know, that's how I think about it.
Yeah. We I feel like we'll wrap it up shortly. This has been great. We've also been going for we're on a marathon. We're pushing like an hour and 40-ish.
Really? Oh, I didn't know.
Oh yeah. Sonny, do you have any last few questions? And I have a few to wrap it up, and we'll go from there.
I was gonna ask, what is your craziest swap that you've done on Jupiter, or craziest swap that you've seen, like in terms of like maybe what the tokens were or the amount or something like that?
I mean, for us, I mean, we're quite careful with funds. So
just like personally, not like
personally, yeah. I think you know, for me, I think it was like it was apping in Seoul at a pretty low when it was pretty bad. Yeah, so that was like a fundamental leap of faith. You know, right? That was probably my leap of faith. Yeah. Okay. So that was my It wasn't necessarily an amount, but more like it was a time of deep uncertainty.
Yeah.
And going like fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was actually pretty all in. Yeah. I wouldn't say all in. I would say like 80% in. Yeah. You gotta feed the kids. You know what I'm saying? Right. But then like you know, in case but yeah, that was a pretty substantial thing for me. Yeah. I think and as for big trades, I think every day, I think we see a lot of DCAs. We see people just like, you know, do a lot of like, I mean, sometimes people just go crazy. They just go like, I don't care. They just go like, the craziest is probably someone where someone just didn't care about a 50% slippage, you know, something.
Jesus.
And just like a really big swap, like 50% slippage. Like, what the fuck? I mean, like he I don't know if it's like literal, but he just like didn't give a fuck. It's like, I wanted out of this coin so bad. I don't even want this year, just fucking go. And saying it's like, whoa, holy shit. And I'm saying, wow. It's like, I'm pretty sure that was deliberate. And I'm saying, because the guy seemed to know what he was doing. Right? And I'm saying, and it was in size. So I'm like, okay, like, wow, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, if you just like, just wait for a minute. I'm saying, let's DC that shit. I'm saying, right? Right? Yeah. So I was like fairly impressed by the trade. I was like, okay, cool. You know what? Yeah. So I think what I've seen is that I think and we are not even crazy. I think some of the meme coins are crazy, man. I think meme coins are fucking crazy. I think the amount of velocity in meme coins is fucking insane.
Oh yeah. Do you have any that you're a personal like big fan of? Not direct. This is not Jupiter talking, but Meow himself. Are there any meme coins that you're like a huge fan of right now?
Not coins, but communities.
Okay. Which communities are your favorites?
Oh, Zero, easy.
Yeah.
Zero. The Zero community.
Which community is that?
The Zero community.
Oh.
ZER0.
I don't know that one. Do you?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's our community. It's like it's okay. I tweet about it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
cool.
I gotta pay more attention to those. I'm
It's
missing those.
zero. It's like basically the mindset that like it's a philosophy of like zero expectations and zero promises, right? Because I think it's the contrast to Moon Boys, right? I think the whole idea of mooning is that like it's like you're always in chats and DMs and everyone telling, oh, everything's going to the moon. And then it's like, so Zero is like, shoot the fuck out. I'm saying, all right, not everything's going to moon, right? Right? So I think that's a philosophy I personally subscribe to, that I don't, if you look at my Jupiter comms, right, or any comms that I do, I'm actually very careful about what I say. I will never ever say like, everything's going to moon or whatever. I don't say that shit, I feel like, I feel like, that was our sin, our greatest sin in the last cycle, of like everyone promising infinite wealth.
Oh, 100%.
Right? FTX promising everything, crypto's gonna go save the whole world. Do Kwon promising 20% yield. Doesn't matter how. I mean, 20% yield at 1 million is one thing. $1 is one thing. I give 20 cents, $100, $1 million. 100 million, 3 billion, 30 billion. It's a different story, right? But then there's just like the magic infinite yield thing, and Suju, three arrows, promising the super cycle, right? So I'm like, I feel like last cycle I got so burnt. I feel like we all got so burnt by that selling of a completely unrealistic dreams and stuff, right? That I think this mindset of zero culture is pretty helpful, just like zero, no expectations, we just do.
100%. I mean, I think, I remember last cycle, one of my buddies one time said to me, he's like, man, I got this coin you got to put money into. The APY is crazy. It was like 3,000%. And I was like, brother, like, how's that possible? Like, how can they guarantee that? And he was like, well, you got to read the documentation. And I was like, okay, well, you've read it, so explain it to me. And he's like, no. You need to read. You need to read it. So I was like, okay, well, send it to me. So he sends it to me. I start reading this. I'm like, this shit doesn't make any sense. And I was like, brother, I'm trying to read it. I feel like I have a decent IQ. I can't understand this lick of this. So why don't you, again, explain it to me? You obviously understand it. You put a lot of money in, or you want me to put a lot of money in. So why don't you explain it to me? And he was like, well, you're not reading well enough. And I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, again, you can't explain it. And I was like, so therefore, with that said, Shark Tank, I'm out. I'm not putting any money into that. It was dead like 2 weeks later.
We had some crazy ones like that. What was that thing where it was like in parentheses and it was like something
tree?
No, it wasn't 3. It was like
VEV, whatever.
I think so, but it was like some crazy like token, something like that, where it was like an APY that was just infinite, and people thought they were just going to be printing money for the next like 5 years off of it. They were like, put your money into this.
Yeah,
and
there were
boom,
a bunch of
boom.
Ethereum last
man.
time. The those like those like base coins, like base coin and based a bunch of those.
Yeah. I got PTSD anytime anybody tells me this is how much residual income I'm making right now, and if I just keep this money in, I'm going to be making $500,000 a year just based off this very basic thing that I don't have to do anything for. I got PTSD by those people. I'm immediately I'm gonna sell everything the moment someone starts telling me what they're.
Honestly, I think part of that was like from a mental and like behavioral standpoint, it didn't set up good expectations for now what people have to do, right? Because like everybody thought that they were just gonna like passively be getting wealth. All right, I'm putting into this, I'm getting APY, I'm staking this NFT, I'm getting this token, and it's gonna be worth this forever, and it's gonna go up. Isn't
the latest cycle? Isn't the latest meme coin cycle part of that as well? You know, if I just aim into the D meme coin, then I'll be fucking like, you know, done forever.
But I think at least with that, at least when it comes to meme coins, you understand for the most part what you're getting yourself into.
You have to be a little bit more active. I think it's not just like,
you got to work for your bags.
It's not just like, all right, I put my NFT here and now I'm getting X token every day, or I put this money here and I'm getting a high amount of APY and I just let it sit and I don't have to do anything with it. Like, you do have to be, like, to your point, like in the trenches, active, like figuring out these memes, like working for your bags.
Bro, I'm in Telegram. There was one Telegram I was in at like 5 a.m. I'm in there and somebody was like, is this actually you? Because don't you live in LA? It's like 5 a.m. I was like, yeah, I woke up to take a piss and like I wanted to see if I was down bad or not. Yeah. And I was like, but hey, let's go, boys. Let's get the troops together. Come on, we got to rally this shit. And it's like, because there's something about kind of that community rallying together that I think is really fun about meme coins. And I think the expectation is if you work together, you can actually build something very cool. And I think there is a lot that we can take away from that, because I think we did get to a point in the bull market last cycle where everybody was expecting everybody else to do the work for them. And then I think in the bear market, people realized, well, I can't just expect everybody to do these things for me. I have to actually work for my bags. Like if I want this shit to go up, part of it is like I need to be, if you know, when Solana's at $8, if you're the one posting that Solana's going to go to zero, you're really not helping your bags here. But like then you had people like Easy who are running crazy spaces, getting everybody talking about Solana, and then Vitalik puts out his tweet, we jumped to $12, and it's like right there you're seeing the power of community, right? And so I really do feel like the meme coin community meme coin craze has taught us that you can work for your bags, and you should work for your bags, because the moment you're looking at somebody else and you're like, hey, you should be the reason why my bags are up, you are setting yourself up for failure. Work for your bags, talk about your bags, and then educate other people on your bags. And if your education part of things is correct, or you do it the right way, then other people are going to want to buy the shit that you have, which is essentially going to pump your bags even more. So I think that's what the meme coin community's kind of taught us, is like work for your shit. Stop expecting everybody to do things for you. And I think that's a good thing in a way.
And in some sense, that's the main contribution of meme coins, right? It's like it's quite hard for someone to contribute to DeFi protocol.
Yeah.
I'm saying right now, or like the Bitcoin core protocol. I'm saying, but it's quite easy for them to go, hey, check out this Q.doc. You can read someone. So I feel like it did actually make like participation in crypto networks like way more accessible. Not just the trading of it. I feel like that's actually one. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I think I was thinking of meme coins more in terms of like the lower the barriers entry in terms of buying and stuff. Yeah. But you're right. It's like it dramatically lowered the barrier entry in terms of like supporting network. You know,
100%.
Yeah. That's a really good point, by the way. Really good point.
100%. So, okay, so here's what I want to wrap this up with. Give us like a year from now. Do you have any big goals for Jupiter? Is there anything that you've been talking to the team about? Like, essentially, this is where we want to be at a year from now. This is kind of the barometer of success that we use, or kind of like our North Star of what we're building towards and everything like that. You mentioned earlier always wanting to provide value and continue to do that for the ecosystem. But do you have any like specific goals for Jupiter?
Marc just wants to know if he should buy more Jupe right now.
Listen, I already got a fat bag, so you know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm very stressed now. Really fucking stressed now. It's funny, right? It's funny because every time someone tells me that, I'm like, I just feel stressed. I'm like, fuck.
We're going to $15, right? That's right, because that's what I saw in a tweet once, right? Like, we're going to $15, right?
Man, those speculation tweets before the airdrop must have been just like, were those just like every time you saw them, just like, fuck, no, don't do it.
I actually shut those out. I'm like, for me, I was like, okay, it is what it is kind of thing. You know? Yeah, for me, it was very simple, right? I also feel like dude, it was a lot of value it was a lot of value at a time where Solana didn't have that much liquidity, right, to absorb a lot of stuff. It's actually different. But back to the point. Anyway, how do I say it? let me break it down, right? As usual, break it down like 3 different categories, right? I think I think talk from a team point of view, right? I think I want to have I'm like really trying to build up a team that is like very resilient, and kind of able to execute through any like challenges, technical, emotional, everything, right? So that's my first objective, right? To have a team that is like extremely capable of like so one other thing I'm doing as well is I'm also making sure that a lot of other team members besides myself have visibility, so they can kind of talk about different parts of the project and talk about them, everything and stuff. Because I think Jupiter being what it is now and stuff, it really requires like a lot of people to be doing talk through it, to own something publicly, right? So that's something I'm really focused on. And then the second part is like actually, I really want to have I really want to have the most active, vibrant, and cohesive community in Web3. The biggest, the most cohesive, the best community in Web3. So that's a really big deal for me, right? Right? And you will know it. You will know it by the quality of discourse, by decision making or getting done. By the way we are able to push the agenda forward together, kind of thing. So I think that will be very clear. And obviously things like 30% reduction vote, ASR, Jupiter revote, working group. These will all kind of help to form that, right? Right? Yeah. And lastly is the I think for on the product side, I think number one, I think obviously to kind of really add the most value we can, right? To the Solana ecosystem. I'm saying, to try to create like new metas for token launching, because I feel like the current approaches is like not that great. There's a lot of like e-transparency, a lot of sniping, a lot of like fake news or everything. So I think also among the and that's on the memecoin side of things, and then from the project side of things, there's a lot of distrust between the VCs and the retail and the founders, right? I'm saying that, so I'm hoping to kind of experiment there as well, right? So I think that, so basically I think besides so I think I want to kind of really experiment on a range of like different like token launch mechanisms, both on the social coin side and also on the infra side of things, yeah. And then beyond that, I think beyond that, I do think that we are headed towards a world of like billion chains and billion tokens, right? So the question becomes like, how do we kind of like unify the world? Because like we do have this idea called the GAM, right? The grand unified market, which is like, okay, we envision the whole world as a world where like you have all the assets are there in a decentralized world, whether it's like forex or currency or stocks and everything and stuff. And if we actually unify all these things in the sufficiently abstracted UI and UX and stuff, right, we can do a lot, right? A user can actually come into this network and actually you get anything they want, right? Like go from any currency to any asset or vice versa, right? And this can also become the backbone, right? For all kinds of things, right? For example, you anything like payments and remittances and all these guys all depend on kind of being able to unify all these different things in one single API. Yeah, so I think that's something I think we are really interested in working on as well. Yeah, so I think that's where we're at. Yeah,
there we go.
Love it.
Well, hey man, we've appreciated having you on. We've appreciated everything you've done for the ecosystem. We're excited to see where it goes, and again, I think both of us can say thank you for everything that you guys have done, because Jupiter has made our lives easier in a lot of ways, and. Again, we enjoyed that. The airdrop was nice. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
And now I have a gift for you, especially talking about stress levels.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This is the cutest ring, the ring that we're wearing. It's
wow, holy
you can
shit.
track your sleep. I don't know if you get a lot these days.
My sleep is so fucked, bro. It's so fucking bad.
Now you'll have the data to tell you how fucked your sleep is.
At least you could earn something for seeing how fucked your sleep is as well.
Okay, I can be like, okay, wow, it's so fucked,
Checks your heart rate, and, gives you a coach you can talk to, all these different things. But we're both rocking ours, and now you'll get to rock yours with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to give gifts for all of our guests that come to the podcast.
Thank you.
So.
Appreciate it. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thanks for coming on and speaking to us today.
Yeah. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate you coming on. We got to make this happen on a more regular basis.
Where are you off to after this?
Yeah.
What's the next city for you?
Back to SF for a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then,
love
yeah,
that.
go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then we'll for sure see you in Singapore.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, you
Great.
gotta show us around, right?
Let's go for some. Let's go gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So,
go.
all right. Well, hey, appreciate everybody tuning in, and we're gonna go grab some food, and we'll chat with you guys later.
Oh.
See you guys.